Yo, what is up YouTube? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video we're gonna have another tier list. This one's gonna be a little bit different though. This tier list is my predictions on where certain jobs will be in 6.0. Meaning this predictions is way in the future of when actual Endwalkers come out. Where I think these jobs will sit. Will they be kings among kings, queens among queens? That's what this is. This is a tier list for the future. This has nothing to do with the current state of the game. It's all about how the game will be in the future. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get right into it. But before I do that, you need to go ahead and make sure you smash that subscribe button, hit the like button, type a comment down below, and let me know what you'd like to see in the next video. And let's go ahead and get right into it. Okay, here we are. Now, first and foremost, I would like to reiterate that this is just going to be my predictions on where I think certain jobs fall. And it's probably not going to be close to anywhere where it actually is. It's just what I felt from the job action trailer. So basically, how I felt looking at the job while they were showing us what they're adding in this past live letter. So with that all being said, I'm going to go ahead and start off with the healers. And the first one on the list to go through is the Astrologian. Now the Astrologian, I saw some good things. It's definitely, since they're getting rid of the not stances, but your barriers pretty much. You're just going to become a straight heals from what it looks like. And hopefully they do everything right. But they've also reduced the cast time of all healers so that they can spam their offensive spells. We do got to keep that in mind. So now every job is just as fast as the Astrologian. But in my opinion, I think the Astrologian is going to be the S tier healer. And the reason I say that is the White Mage didn't look like it had too much to be added. And we all know how the Scholar looked in the job action trailer. It did not look good. And the Sage looks like it's going to be the second best healer. But we honestly don't know how well the healing's going to do with the fact that it heals while doing damage. And how much the damage changes how much you get back from the heal to the teammate and all that. And we don't know how well the barrier healers are actually going to work. But if I had to take a guess, the Astrologian is going to be the best overall healer. It's going to be the heals, while the barrier of the team is going to be the Sage. And then Scholar and White Mage are just going to kind of take the back seat to these two. So with that being said, I would definitely put the Sage under it as being the second best healer. And I would definitely put the White Mage under it. And honestly, from the job action trailer, it just looks like the Scholar didn't get much changed. And I know there's more to be added from the trailer, but just being honest, the Scholar kind of looked trash. Compared to the Sage, Astrologian, and White Mage, like, I'll put White Mage up there with Sage. And I definitely think the Scholar's a B-tier job from the job action trailer. It did not have much changed. And that's very sad. But this is how I feel. This is my prediction for the healers. The top healer will be Astrologian. And I think the White Mage and Sage are going to be just as good as each other, so they're going to be A tier. And I think the Scholar's just going to take a back seat unless that movement speed move they gave is just like very versatile and there's other things changed that just completely change it. But even in the job action trailer, they're like, or the live layer, they're like, we couldn't really do much to the Scholar, so we gave it movement speed in combat. And it's like, that's all you could do? That's kind of not much of a change. So that will be the healers. The S tier out of the healers will be the Astrologian. The A tiers will be the Sage and White Mage. In the B tier to lower or higher C tier, I would put Scholar, but we'll just put it in B tier. Now on to the tanks. And I'm going to say this, the Paladin looked amazing. I figured from Endwalker using Paladin as the poster child, it would look amazing, feel amazing, and do amazing. And it in the job action trailer, it did just that. They saved it for last. They showed everything it's got. You got swords falling from the sky. Got 2 going into 5 swords. It's just crazy. The job's crazy. I loved how the Paladin looked. I mean, coming from someone that used to tank main, I would definitely play Paladin if I was a tank. Now, the second best tank, I would definitely say the Warrior. I don't know if the Warrior will be A tier or S tier, but the Warrior gets a move after Fell Cleave. It looks like Spinning Fell Cleave. Don't really know the name of it. Plus, it's got a couple more other things. But the Warrior looks like it's set up to be a S tier to A tier job. But I'm going to put it as an A tier because I don't think it's going to cross the barrier of S tier. I think with all the changes to the other tanks, it's going to be hard for it to cross into S tier. The Paladin's just going to have a foot above the rest. Now, Gunbreaker. I'm going to say the Gunbreaker is tied with the Warrior because it probably won't have as much mitigation and all that, but it's got another charge, and the Gunbreaker does hellacious damage as is, so we're getting more damage added to the job. I'm hoping they add more of it to more defense to it as well. I hope it gets more like tank abilities. I know it's going to have an extra satchel charge or whatever they call it, or the charge. So it's got 3 instead of 2. So it's definitely going to have more damage in its rotation. Plus, the Gunbreaker's already got damage. The Dark Knight, I'm going to put Dark Knight as B tier. The reason I say this is the Dark Knight looked cool, had some cool stuff added, but it didn't look like it had really a lot added to it for me to be like, okay, it's up there with the Warrior and the Gunbreaker. I think it's going to be the worst tank out of all of them, but that's not a bad thing because I definitely think it's still going to be a good tank to play. I think this is how I think it's going to be. When you go into a raid, you're going to see a Paladin and a Dark Knight, just the comboing of them two, or you'll see a Warrior and a Gunbreaker, or you'll see a Gunbreaker and Paladin, or Gunbreaker and Dark Knight, or Warrior and Dark Knight. The Dark Knight will be the off tank of the group 9 out of 10 times. I feel like it didn't get changed stat wise as well as the Paladin did, but I think it's definitely still going to be up there as a job. Now, moving on to the range DPS. Now, the range DPS, I had a couple of feelings coming out of this one. This one made me feel a little bit on edge. Reason being is, I think there's more to the Bard than we know. I don't think it's going to be an S tier, but I think the Bard will be more versatile for the team to have in this expansion than people realize. I think it's going to be better than the Dancer. I think I would put the Dancer, these two are going to be side by side now. I think you could now justify taking a Bard over a Dancer. I think they're going to up its buffs. The Bard's now going to get its own buffs. And I think the Bard is going to be good this expansion. Not that the Bard's been terrible, but it was hard to argue that you should take a Bard over a Machinist or a Bard over a Dancer. Now it'll be like, okay, you can take the Bard. It's just going to be up to your play style. I think the Bard is going to offer a lot more team utility than it used to. There's going to be some type of interaction with its songs that I just like in the back of my head after watching the job acting trailer. I'm like, okay, it's gonna do something, and I'm excited for what it's gonna do. But I think the range DPS are gonna be in a good situation. None of them are getting heavily changed, but they're all getting stuff added to make them good, like really good. And I think all range DPSs are going to be A tiers. I don't see any of the range DPSs really getting hit hard. I think the Bard is going to come up from B tier and become an A tier with Dancer and Machinist. I think looking, if you were in a static and you're looking like, I need a range DPS, you're no longer going to be like, well, this one's the best. It's going to be like, okay, you're a Bard player? Okay, we can work with that. The Bard is now in a good spot. Oh, you're a Dancer? Oh, you got some more stuff added. That's good. Oh, you're a Machinist? Oh, you got some more stuff added as well. Like, the Dancer and the Machinist to me are not really going to move, and I think the Bard will move up. I think the Bard got the little bump it needed. I still think the job should be kind of completely overhauled and make it more of like an actual archer and give it more team utility. It kind of needs the Machinist treatment, in my opinion. Now, with all that being said, let's go ahead and get into the Black Mage or the casters. Now, I'm saving the melee DPSs because I am now going to, after seeing the job action trailer, I want to main the melee DPSs a lot, and I already have the one I'm already kind of maining the one I want to play. But with all that said, let's just go ahead and hop right into the casters, and we're going to start with the Black Mage. All right, I hate to say it, but the Black Mage is going to be an S tier. It's got more damage added. I don't know what the cast times are going to look like on them, but the Black Mage is just the Black Mage. They didn't take anything away from it. They didn't really change much on it. They just added some more damage to it, and it's like, well, it's already the strongest class in the game. Like, we're just giving it more. So, it's pretty straight and simple that the Black Mage is just going to be an S tier. Now, moving on to the Red Mage. The Res Mage, I think it's going to be an A tier. It looks like it got more damage added to its kit. That's all it really looks like. It looks like the casters, or these two casters, it was just like, okay, they're in a good situation. Let's just give them more damage. And I mean, the Red Mage is okay at damage now, like it's up there, but it's not the best caster. Now that it's getting more damage added, it's like, okay, well, now it's a little bit, it's up there. Like, it's got damage now. It's got more damage than I think in Endwalker, the Red Mage will just get more damage added to it, and its whole class identity is not going to change. It's just going to do more damage. Now, moving on to the one I really do kind of want to play, but I'm just going to wait to see how it plays out. But in my head, I am predicting the Summoner to be an S tier. I think with the fact that when you make summons, you are now that elemental, and you have elemental magic with that. You don't really have to. From what I've seen of the gameplay that they showed us, it doesn't really seem like you have any more pet actions, kind of. You still got Bahamut, you still got Phoenix, nothing changed about them. The only things that changed were your summons, and now you no longer summon an Eggy, you summon the full-on thing for a quick second, they do a big move, and then you're in that elemental stance. So you kind of have elemental stances now. And I think the rotation on the Summoner will not be near as long. I don't think you'll have to worry near as much while doing the Summoner. I think the Summoner is getting a complete rework that I can stand by. I love the way it looks. I love everything about it. And so I think that the Summoner will be an S tier. I can't see them reworking this job and making it look like it did and being like, okay, this is a C tier job. No, it's not possible. I think the Summoner got the rework everybody was wanting, and it's going to perform on par with the Black Mage. Also, when they were showing off the elemental things and the gameplay, it looked like it was instacast. I don't know if I'm just not paying attention enough, but when they were doing the gameplay, it looked like it was instacast. That's all I'm saying. And that will do it for the casters. Now, as you can see, there's not really many jobs in B tier. I just think the jobs in B tier didn't really get too much added to them to change them up. Now, this is where it gets hard. Because I think the Dragoon got a 4th AoE. The Dragoon, every melee DPS is losing feint. So this is the problem. So melees will no longer have feint, or feint's getting changed. Something about feint is going to happen, and it's going to kind of hurt the melee DPSs in a little bit of ways. But in my opinion, I still think the Dragoon's going to be an A tier. Now, we all know which of the jobs going to be an S tier coming from the melee. The Samurai's not changing. It's getting more moves added to it. It's just like the Black Mage. It's getting big damage moves added. Now, this is where it's hard. The Monk is getting some changes, and they're pretty big changes. You got moves that go off of a yin and yang type. Like one move gives yin, one move gives yang, like that kind of stuff. So we now have that. It kind of seems like positionals aren't going to be as worried about as much anymore. I think they're kind of changing them completely, sort of. Like, you're still going to have positionals, but I don't think it's going to be near... Like, it's not going to be crazy positionals. I just get the feeling that the Monk is going to be changed in a way. And I think it's also going to be an A tier. I think its damage... Its rotation is going to be changed a good bit, in my opinion. I think it overall is just going to be... I think the Monk will be kind of in a good spot. But I'm also really worried about the Monk. Like, I feel like the Monk could end up being the worst of the melees, in my opinion. But I just don't know how I feel. I want to hope for the best. That's why I'm going to predict that it's up there with the Dragoon. But in the back of my head, I keep thinking that maybe it's not. And now on to the next, the Ninja. So now we're getting rid of Shadowclaw, right? You no longer have that. You no longer have that dot. So we got that. It doesn't seem like they're making any changes to Trick Attack, not making any changes to Moodra. We're getting some Raiton moves added. We're getting a move that making Hoton stick on long or easier to activate. So we're kind of not taking away from the Moodras, taking away some of the rotations. We no longer have Shadowclaw. We no longer have Feint. But we're adding more moves that interact with our Jitsus. Because it looks like when you activate Raiton, you now have 2 moves that you can use that are gap closers. I think the Ninja will be... I'm going to say S tier. That's my job. I'm going to main Ninja. So I definitely want it to be an S tier. I want it to be an S tier. Now, if we pause real quick, I think there's a case to argue where we don't take the Ninjas S tier, but I also think there's a case to argue that we do. Like, in the back of my head right now, I'm thinking, okay, we're losing a dot. We're losing a dot. Us Ninjas are. We no longer have Shadowclaw, but we now got more moves added as gap closers and stuff. We still have Trick Attack. And there's also going to be some more things added that they haven't really specified. But, you know, just for the sake of the fact we're losing a dot, I'm going to put it as an A tier. I think it's the highest of the A tier. Actually, can we add a row? we're gonna do A plus jobs. We're gonna add A plus, and we're gonna move this up to A plus. We're gonna move this up to A plus. I think we're gonna move this up to A plus. I'm moving that up, and I think that's it. I think that's all I'm gonna do to move up from A plus, because I can't really think of any other job like greatly being changed to where they're like outstanding. Like, I think the A plus jobs that are going to be close to C are going to be the Sage, Warrior, Bard, and Ninja. And the Bard, I can't shake the fact that it's going to do really well this expansion. It's so deep in the back of my head that I can't change it. But let's move on to the Reaper. I think the Reaper is going to be an S tier. I think the Reaper's rotation is going to be really good. They've already stated they didn't want to give it samurai damage, but it's not far from samurai. And also, it seems to have some utility on it. So now we have a melee DPS with some utility, because they showed it interacting with the Bard. I think there's going to be some synergy going on here. I don't know what it is. I just get the feeling that it's going to have synergy with every other thing out there. So it's now going to have team utility, making it an S tier. So it's going to have damage on par with like the Ninja, Monk, and Dragoon, but it's going to have utility. So it's getting something that they don't have to add it above the rest. So I think the Reaper's an S tier. And now we're going to go back over my predictions. So my predictions for Endwalker in S tier are going to be the Astrologian, Paladin, Black Mage, Summoner, Samurai, and Reaper. Them are the jobs I think in the back of my head that I predict to be outstanding in Endwalker. And now for the A+. The A+ jobs that I think in Endwalker are going to be the Sage, Warrior, Bard, and Ninja. And like I've been stating over and over, I can't shake in the back of my head what the Bard is going to be able to do in this expansion. I have good feelings and I have bad feelings, and I ultimately think the good feelings outweigh the bad. For the Sage is all going to depend on how well its heal is from its damage. Since it simultaneously heals and damages, I think there's going to be something connecting them to that if you're doing this amount of damage, you get this much heal. So it's honestly going to depend. The Sage could be the worst healer, or it could end up being the best healer. But I think I'd rather see it be a really good healer than a bad healer. Now on to the A tier, the jobs that I think are going to be solid choices. You can argue why you like them. It doesn't really matter. Every job in this game is playable, so really none of this matters. This is just my prediction of what's going to be the best in Endwalker. The White Mage, because of course the White Mage isn't really getting anything massively changed about it. The Gunbreaker's getting another cartridge for its combo, and it's just going to do more damage now. The Dancer just got stuff added to, so I didn't really ever see it as an S tier job. It was definitely the best range DPS, but I think now that the Bard's getting more added to it, I think it's going to take back its throne. The Machinist is not getting anything heavily changed. It's getting moves added to its robot, so I definitely think it's still going to be up there as an A tier. The Red Mage is getting more damage moves added, and nothing really changed about it, so it's still going to be the Res Mage, but now it's going to have more damage. So I think now, with all that being said, you're no longer going to sit here and be like, should I take the Summoner, should I take the Red Mage? If you want somebody to be able to, like, if you're going for procs, you're going to take the Red Mage. If you're just wanting to clear, I think the Summoner is going to be in there just as much as the Red Mage. I think the Red Mage will be a solid choice of a job. I just think with the rework of everything the Summoner's going through, it's going to be better, and a lot of people are going to keep their eyes out on the Summoner. Now on to the Dragoon. The Dragoon just really got a 4th AoE, so now its AoE rotation's a little bit got more added to its rotation. Nothing's really changing all melee DPSs are losing feint, so that is what it is. I still think the Dragoon's gonna be an A tier. I'm glad they didn't really change much of it, because it being the job that connects with the Reaper, it's definitely share the same gear and everything. I would love to see the Dragoon not really fall off. I look forward to seeing its rotation in action now. Tell you what you. Now onto the monk. The monk is going to be in an interesting spot. I don't think it's going to be an S tier. In my prediction, I think it's going to just pretty much stay where it was at. It's getting some yin and yang things added. It's going to have, I can't remember what they call it. They called it beast something. Beast style or whatever. It's getting some changes to its stances. It's getting some moves added, some more damage. But I don't think it's going to overtake the Samurai and Reaper. The monk can go two ways in this. It could be drastically better, or it could be drastically worse. And I think it's going to be better for the point, but I don't think it's going to be better than the Reaper and Samurai. Honestly, I could argue to move the monk up to S and bring the ninja down to A. I think the monk has more to gain than the ninja. But I just like, yeah, we'll do that. We'll trade. So the monk is now going to be an A+ tier. I think the monk's going to be in a good spot. I want to put my ninja back up at A+, but it's having a dot removed, and it's just getting some more moves from Raiton and stuff. So I can't really argue that it's an A+ prediction. I'm just going to stick with the ninja being at A. And now we're on to the B tier. And this is the one I'm probably going to get the most flack for. Why put the Dark Knight in B tier? I was not too impressed from the Dark Knight's job trailer. I was not. It didn't look like it changed much. The Dark Knight has been it's got the glamour. It's got everything. Everybody likes the way it looks, but it's always been like, out of 1, 2, 3, it's been the 4th tank. The Paladin's always been better. The Warrior's always been better. The Gunbreaker's always been better. The Dark Knight has never been like heavily favored in damage and mitigation. And I don't think that's going to change in this expansion. I think the Dark Knight is going to be stuck as being, it's like I state in all my tier list, all these jobs are viable, but I don't think it's going to be up there with the Gunbreaker, and I don't think it's going to be up there with the Warrior. And I know it's not going to be up there with the Paladin. The Paladin's poster boy, and it's always been the best tank, and it's not changing. Now on to the Scholar. The Scholar, unfortunately, its counterpart, the Summoner, got reworked. The Scholar, unfortunately, they kept reiterating they're not changing it much, and that they're just adding some things, and like nothing much is changing on the Scholar. And if nothing much is changing on the Scholar, it is a boring job to play. It lacks in the field of just overall stuff. Like, honestly, I'd rather, in a static today, I'd rather see a White Mage and an Astrologian. Just have your Astrologian play shields. But in 6.0, we're going to have the Sage added, and it's going to be the Barrier Healer. And with the Sage being added, why do you need to take the Scholar? I think as a Barrier Healer, it's going to be the worst Barrier Healer. It's definitely still going to be valuable. They only really showed off a movement speed increase in combat move. So I'm not heavily impressed with the Scholar. I think the Scholar will be kind of the bottom tier healer in this expansion. And I'm sorry for that. But that's just how I feel. And with that being said, this has been my predictions for what jobs will be S tier through B in Endwalker. If you disagree with any of these selections, let me know down in the comment section below. Let me know which jobs you think could be changed, which jobs you think I rated too high. And be sure to subscribe so you can see more and be prepared for when I start releasing some Endwalker content when that big old hype train comes in. We just gotta wait for that boy to come because, boy, I am hyped for Endwalker. With all that being said, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment down below, like the video, and I'll see you again next time. Peace.